that when
oh
we
my
were
gosh,
there.
wait, I muted you that whole time.
I can say it again.
Shit. Hey everybody, welcome to Travel Nerds. It's me, Connor Ann, as per usual, and I'm here today with Kristy. She is the finance genius behind our travel company. So first question, let's get it out of the way.
Dear.
I'm laughing because she already said it and I muted her. She was muted the whole time. Anyways, say it again. What is the best vacation you've ever been on?
That would have to be Alaska. We went to a couple different cities while we were there, but my favorite would be Skagway. It's this tiny little town of about 1,000 people that live there year round. I think they have like 3 sheriffs that live there like all year round, and then they've got 6 sheriffs in the summer because tourism.
Bring out the big guns.
Right. Their sheriff department doubles. It was great. But we took a bus up the mountain to where it was more of the permafrost area where the trees are about like a foot tall. And there's just like glacial water everywhere. And it was gorgeous and freezing. And I didn't care. And I was like, I want to move here. I just want to move here and be a bus driver in Alaska. And that was my dream job when I was there. Cause I was like, I could do this. If I got paid to drive up here every day and look at this, that would be great.
You know, you probably could.
I could. At the time I wasn't old enough. Because you had to be 23 to be a bus driver, and I was not 23. It was very sad.
Wait, what a weird age limitation. Must be 2 years past the
Legal,
alcoholic legal limit.
You can drink alcohol, but you can't drive a bus in Alaska. It was very sad.
I love when people say that their favorite places are like, you know, I've never heard of Skagway. How cool. Like, why? Like, why did you even go?
So my family wanted to go on vacation together, and my husband and I had just gotten married. And so he and I went with my parents and brother, and we all went on an Alaska cruise. Because my parents had gone to Alaska without my brother and I. And
Rude.
and we're like, we want to go. So we all went as a family, and it was great.
Nice. I love that. Everybody that's ever told me they've been on like an Alaskan cruise, it's just
do it.
Next level.
It's great. Go to Skagway. Skagway's great.
Did you eat reindeer?
I did not.
Which sounds sad, actually. Like asking that question made me kind of sad. Yeah. But my brother and sister-in-law just went up there and they had reindeer pizza. And she was like, it was fucking good. It just tastes like sausage. But kind of makes me a little sad.
I've never heard of reindeer pizza. I'm not opposed to it. I haven't say that I've heard of it before, though.
I'll whip some up for my party.
Yes, do it.
Okay, so we're here to talk about how much vacation can you afford. Mm-hmm. So, Kristy, I already picked her brain a little bit, and that's why she's here. I was like, holy shit, you know so much. So the first thing that you suggested to me was start the process of booking a fake trip and look into it in points rather than dollars. I love that. Yes. Tell me more.
So this really only works if you travel a lot. But hey, it's never too early or late to start traveling to rack up points. But say you stay at a hotel. So if you travel for work, what a lot of people, and granted, if you travel for work, you probably already do this, but you probably want to stay at the same hotels or, you know, rent from the same rental car companies or use the same airlines because you get points. So then those points are yours and you can keep them and then you can use them for your own personal vacation, which is super great. I totally blanked, and please edit that out in post-processing.
I was like, she's pausing for dramatic effect.
Nope. Lost my train of thought. Not sure what else to say on that.
Story of my life. I have definitely traveled with points before. There's a whole strategy behind it. I really need to get like a card, start with the sign-up bonus, spend the amount of money they tell you to spend, which is horrifying. It's like, just spend 20 grand in 2 months and you can go to the Maldives for free.
what card have you gotten that says that?
That's where I'm fucking up. I need to get a better card.
It's like the cards that I've gotten offered for, like, spend like $1,000 within the first month. And so and then they'll give you like the airline flights or something. So you can like use the money to book the airline flights, and then you can use the points to pay it off.
Mm. Do you have any cards that you recommend?
So full disclosure, I haven't actually done it, but I've been looking at doing the Frontier card because, well, we usually fly Frontier a lot because traveling with just a backpack, it's the cheapest way to go for Frontier. Shout out to Frontier Airlines. Y'all are great.
I agree. I just flew them yesterday back home, and I've never had a bad experience.
I got an $18 flight from Chicago to Orlando nonstop with Frontier.
Like, what?
It was great. It was $18. I'm like, yep, we're doing that.
I've paid more for a sandwich.
Right.
That's absurd.
Yeah. $18. It was great. You do have to learn how to pack lightly, or you can pay for a bag. So that's the hiccup with that. But if you don't mind traveling lightly, but their card, from what I've read of it, it seems like a really good loyalty card. And I keep saying after I fly with them, each time I'm like, oh, I need to do that. And then the paper gets lost and I forget about it. And I've probably lost so many points that I could have been racking up, but that's my own fault.
Story of my life. I should do that. And that just never happens. So with finances and traveling, how do you feel about like setting a really strict budget for yourself? Because I feel both ways about it. It's like, if I do set a big budget and I'm like, not a big budget, but like a strict budget, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this as much as I really want to because I'm too conscientious. How can we go about budgeting for trips?
That's a great question. Multiple parts to that. One of them, I would say, start off with 2 different budgets. And what I mean by that is have a budget of, okay, ideally, this is what I'd like to spend on this trip. This is what I am okay parting with for this trip. And that's going to be different depending on where you're going, how long you're staying. You just kind of have to figure that out. That also might depend on that budget, might determine where you go. So say you're like, hey, I'm comfortable spending $500 to go somewhere. Great. That's your budget. What I would also do is make sure you have an emergency fund as well. That's what I mean by the second budget of, say, like 500 is my budget that I'm like allocating for a weekend trip. Maybe budget an extra 200 on top of that you're not going to spend. You're not going to spend, but that if you needed to, so say hypothetically, if you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, you can't go anywhere, and you're stuck, how do you get out of that? Having an emergency fund that you're also have budgeted in mind, so that way you're not cutting into your fun money or vacation money, if that makes sense. So
that's totally
realistically, you're fine with spending 700, but you're only planning on spending the 500. The extra 200 are for emergencies or things like that, whatever the numbers are. But have your basic budget for your trip and then have an emergency backup that you don't touch except in emergencies. And seeing a really cool thing that you want to buy is not an emergency.
It's not?
It's not. No. Yeah. That really cool thing you want to buy is not an emergency. If your flight gets canceled and you're stuck in the city and you don't want to sleep on the streets and you want to sleep in a hotel, which I would recommend, probably don't sleep on the streets. Yeah, that's not safe. That's your emergency fund. Flat tire. Your other money gets stolen. That's an emergency fund.
Yeah. Antibiotics because you ate something weird. I don't know.
Yeah. If you get stung by a really awful fuzzy caterpillar and you can't move your arm and you need to go get medicine, that might also be a thing.
Sounds personal. Sounds like a personal experience.
I don't like fuzzy caterpillars.
We rescheduled this pod because Kristy was like, hey, something happened. Something not so cool happened the other day. got stung by a really poisonous caterpillar. I'm like, holy shit. That's a crazy thing to happen.
It was not fun. It was a pain that you can like feel in your bones. It's like, it feels like my arm is broken.
Were they just like, this is going to take some time? Or did they give you something?
I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it. We were in the middle of nowhere because we were walking around a bonsai garden and it was beautiful. And I was sitting on a bench minding my own business. And then it was like, ooh, the edge of the bench is sharp. And I just thought that I bumped my elbow on the edge of the bench. Nope. And then it just kept getting a little bit more painful and warm. And I was like, oh, this kind of feels like a wasp sting. And then it migrated for like the rest of my elbow and like on the underside and started like throbbing. And I was like, this isn't normal. And after about 20 minutes, I'm like, we should probably go home because it's spreading to my shoulder and I really don't think this is normal. So yeah, and we had to stop at a gas station on the way, get ice, tape to like, basically like what, if you ever get stung by a fuzzy caterpillar or something like that, tape to like rip the hair off your arm and like try to get all the hairs out of it, because as long as the hairs are in there, they're going to keep injecting venom.
Oh my God.
No.
One thing I love so much about you is that I think most people would have been like, oh my God, I need to go to the doctor. And you were like, I need to go to a gas station.
Okay, to be fair, it was helpful because my husband was with me and he has been stung by many, many things. And so I just kept asking him like, is this normal? Like, I don't know what's going on. He's like, no, this seems pretty normal. And it kept getting worse. And he's like, I mean, maybe we should stop and, you know, we can do this. And so I was going based off of his experience. But at this point he was saying, you've now been stung worse than I have. And I was like, I could have done without checking that off the bucket list, but that's
you just
okay.
Can't use your arm all night. It's just like there.
Just like, oh, this is just throbbing and it never goes away and you can't move it.
Oh my God. I'm glad you're alive and well here today. I was worried. I was like, oh my God, that's kind of a like really random thing to happen.
It was very random. It was not how I planned on spending my Saturday.
Shit. To sting you on the weekend? How dare he?
Right?
She.
I don't know. I didn't quite look. It was like this big and I saw it and I was like, I don't like you. And initially, before it got really bad, Jacob was like, oh, this is kind of cute. And I was like, it's not cute. It's painful.
I would not get near that thing. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry.
Back to traveling. Don't travel to a park bench if it has a caterpillar on it.
If it has a fuzzy caterpillar, don't touch it. And I did not, for the record, I did not intentionally pet it. I don't make a habit of petting dogs.
Right. It was a bump.
It was a bump. It was an unintentional bump. If you see a cute dog and the owner is super friendly and lets you pet their dog, then yes, pet the dog, but don't pet fuzzy caterpillars.
The caterpillar was like, he was there first. Like he was just enjoying the bench. So really, you just came out of nowhere.
I did. Unfortunately, I came into his space and he was like, how rude.
Okay. What I want to talk about is budgeting your trip in different categories. So like breaking your finances down into like a math puzzle.
Yes. So I like math. Most people who work with numbers do. Let's see. So what I mean by that is taking, again, you have to start off with the big picture. Start off with either where am I going and how much do I need for it, or how much am I willing to spend? And that can determine where you're going. Either way, whichever way you start with, you have to start with the number of how much am I willing to spend for this vacation? And then I would say break that down into little buckets. So say I'm going to spend this much of it on transportation, this much of it on getting there, this much of it on food, this much of it on lodging, this much of it on fun activities, shopping, you know, having, and I would even put in a budget there of, I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but this is my budget for if I see that really cool thing.
Love it.
Because that way you can get the really cool thing because you've already planned for it. But if you didn't plan for it, so it's like planning spontaneity, because spontaneity is fun. Going into debt is not fun. So if you plan for it, and then, hey, if you don't see a fun thing that just screams, I need to get this, you have extra money at the end of the trip. And maybe
True.
you could go to a different a more fancy restaurant or something like that. So,
or something batshit crazy happens and you come home with more money than you thought you would have.
Exactly. And then you're like, I have this money. Guess what I can do? I can put it aside for my next vacation, and you're already a head start.
Love it.
For traveling, I
Or
guess.
spend it on like Uber Eats like I do.
You could do that. Because, I mean, okay, if you got home from a super long flight and you're really hungry, do you really want to cook food?
I mean, could I spend $500 in tacos? Probably. I could probably figure it out.
How many people would you need to spend $500 in tacos? And depending on how many people, how much money in tacos could you eat? That could be a thing. If you have 10 people, everyone has to eat $50 worth of tacos.
I feel like I personally could eat like $75 worth of tacos.
Where are you getting your tacos from?
True. We're not Taco Bell, Taco 12 packing it.
Right. But like, are you going to like the super authentic street taco places where they have like the $1.75 tacos with like the corn tortillas and the cilantro and onions? Because those are amazing.
Those are the best.
Those are the best.
Do you know a place around here that does that?
No, I had there when you lived in Wisconsin, there was an amazing taco place, ironically in the middle of Waukesha. That was like the most authentic, wonderful place with the best tacos ever. And I haven't been able to find one in Florida. I know that they exist because we're in Florida. There's got to be a good taco place.
I am going to find one because right now we're going to Tin and Taco, which is really good. It's like more Tex-Mex. They put potato straws. I'm not an idiot. I did not make up a weird synonym for French fries. They call them that. But they put them on top of your taco. They're so freaking good. So like probably $75 of that. And then I could probably physically eat like $20 worth of Taco Bell.
Yes. Okay. There is this little taco truck on the side of a gas station in DeLand. I forget the road that it's on, and I don't actually know what it's called, but it's this like little white taco truck in the middle of nowhere, and they have amazing tacos, but I usually don't have a reason to go there, which is sad.
You're like, you'll see it. You'll know it when you see it.
You will. Well, there's multiple different ones, and they're not all created equal. Not all taco trucks are created equal.
That is the damn truth.
Yes. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by food.
I'm hungry. Okay, let's talk about, you mentioned going into debt, and we giggled, but it's very real. That is real.
Yes.
And also, I think sometimes, especially with traveling, when you're there, once you're there, the hype is gone. You're like in the middle of enjoying it. It's really hard to just even remember that your bank account exists. You're just like, I deserve it. I'm here, whatever. What is your recommendation for, like, I guess if you can't pay your card off each month, you're going to get in trouble. So that should be your like personal spending boundary that you set for yourself, right?
Yes. So first thing on that, slight soapbox, please treat your credit card like a debit card and pay it off at the end of every single month.
Yes.
If you don't do that, you're more likely to go into credit card debt, and credit card debt sucks. And that's how credit card companies make money, is they're expecting you. They give you this wonderful credit limit that they know that you can't afford. That's why, they'll give you this wonderful credit limit. And then if you maximize it and you don't pay it off at the end of the month, because they're like, oh, you only need to pay this much. And what they don't tell you is they're going to make all the money on interest, and it's awful. So if you have a credit card, treat it like a debit card, pay it off at the end of the month every month, and don't buy what you can't afford. So that's just, I'll get off my soapbox now.
I'm going to insert something that's like soapbox.
So there's that. And then I would also recommend, aside from paying it off at the end of every month, if you are traveling with a credit card, I would pay off, say your bill isn't necessarily due before you travel, say like the end of your statement happens while you're traveling and you normally wouldn't pay it off until after you get home, pay off some of it before you leave. So that way you have extra on the on your limit that you could use in case of emergencies, so that way, if you do need to use it again for an emergency, it's an actual emergency, like, oh, I broke my leg and now I have to go to the hospital, things like that.
I got stung by a caterpillar. I need to go to the hospital.
Or a gas station with some ice. Actually, okay, if you're having anaphylactic shock, please go to a hospital. Just throwing that out there.
This is a medical podcast.
I am not a medical person. Please do not listen to me for medical advice.
Kristy's medical advice is tape.
I was not having anaphylactic shock. It was just a minor reaction.
I totally love everything that you just said. So I cannot stress this enough. We cannot stress this enough. You cannot be racking up credit card debt. Okay. And if you can't pay your card off each month, you're totally going to get in trouble. It's not worth travel hacking. If you carry a balance on your credit card, you'll be charged crazy interest, and it's so not worth it.
It's not. And one of the ways that I would advocate getting around this is I'm going to be old school here. Use cash.
Ooh.
I know. Cash still exists. It's a thing.
Really?
Right. It still exists. It's like paper. It's green. It comes with like different like dead guys' faces on it. Sorry, don't say that. Don't say that.
You're not wrong though. You didn't kill them.
I did not. No, I was not alive. So. And there's this thing called the envelope system, and some people are like, yes, and some people are like, well, what are you talking about? And so this would be something, again, okay, with cash, you're going to have to be a little bit more careful while traveling, just to make sure it doesn't get stolen. But at the same time, also please be smart while you're traveling to make sure your stuff doesn't get stolen. Like, don't put your stuff in your back pockets, put it in your front pockets, just things like that. Because if you lose your cash, sorry, it's gone. If you lose your card, you can instantly, deactivate it or freeze it or things like that. So there are pros and cons. And I know people kind of sometimes have a hiccup with cash because they're like, if it's gone, it's gone. Right. But it hurts when you part with cash. That's why people,
it does.
Like, if your credit card gets stolen, that's also awful, especially if you don't freeze it right away. But you can usually call the bank and do stuff with it. Whereas when cash is gone, it's gone. So that's one of the other reasons why traveling with cash could be helpful, and using the envelope system, which basically is just going back to the buckets from before. So, okay, realistically, if you're booking a hotel, you probably booked your hotel online and paid for it with a credit card. That's fine. But say you're going away for a weekend and you have your food budget. I don't know what your food budget would be. It depends on how much you like to eat and where you like to eat and how expensive your tastes are. But that food budget, bring in cash. And you can even put a little specific envelope and label it food. You can have a shopping budget, again, with cash, label it in an envelope, shopping. You can have your fun impulse buy for whatever it happens to be. And with that, also, you could have an idea of what that fun impulse buy might be, depending on where you're going. So like when we were in Alaska, I didn't necessarily know what I was going to get, but I knew that I wanted something specific to Alaska, something fun, something small, but like something specific to Alaska. And I ended up actually just getting a piece of jade, just like a solid, like, chunk of jade, because my husband's really creative and crafty and artistic, and so he was like, I can make something out of that. I'm like, cool. So that was fun.
I always end up buying like something that's just so unreasonably sized to where I have to just fucking carry it through the airport. Like, I'm just at the gate, like, I'm on the plane, just, do you want anything to drink? Have you heard of put this?
There is that to keep in mind, of wherever you're going, make sure that you have space to bring it home. Because if you buy something that doesn't fit in your suitcase, you can either pay a ridiculous amount of money to ship it home, or you can carry it with you through the airport, depending on what it is. And you might get some really strange looks. Not that we have ever done this before.
We've never.
Okay, back to the cash.
I love that tip though.
Yeah.
Seriously, like have as much cash as like what's the max you should probably have? Because I feel like, dare we say, $1,000 is the max?
It depends on where you're going, how long you're going to be there, and how self-aware you are of your surroundings.
True.
If you're not aware of your surroundings and if you walk around and you're like, I have no idea what's going on, and like there's a person behind me, they're probably great.
Me.
Maybe don't carry a ton of cash on you. That's the other thing, is don't carry all the cash with you.
Oh, of course.
At a time.
Right.
So like when you go out to a restaurant, don't bring your entire envelope of food money with you every time you go out to eat. Right. Bring a certain amount for that meal. I hear tuna.
And here we pause for a moment. Are you done, mate?
If people don't know who tuna is, they're going to be like, you're a dog barking. It's like, I hear tuna. It's like, do you not know your animals?
It was me.
Tuna in the can was barking.
That's a sandwich I made earlier.
It was sad. It was like, you didn't eat me. Come on.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry. Okay. That's so smart though. And also I like how you said just be conscious of where you're staying, because obviously if you're staying in a hostel, don't leave $800 behind. If you're staying in a really nice hotel, sure, bring $1,000 and keep 800 in there in the safe while you're out and about. So that's super smart. And also like you're just more consciously spending when you have cash, like handing it away. They're like pulling it out of your fingers. Oh God. That's way easier than swiping. Or actually, they made it easier now. Tapping.
Yeah. Because now you didn't think about it. You're just like, I'm just going to tap it. Whereas you can see the cash leaving, and then you can see how much you have left. So if you have a hard time with budgeting and you're like, I haven't spent that much, you really can't tell as much with a card. Whereas a cash, you can look and go, I only have $20 left and I'm here for 3 more days. Oops. That's the other reason to have an emergency fund if you were a poor budgeter, and then you learn for next time, because you get experience by bad decisions. And cut that out because I'm not sure what I was talking about.
Don't make bad decisions.
Don't make bad decisions. The other fun thing with cash is, say you budgeted like $300 for food, depending on where you were going for however long, and you only spent $200. Now you have an extra $100, and you're like, ooh, that fun excursion that I was seeing, I now have money for it. And so you can like reallocate it if you get somewhere and you realize that things aren't as much as you thought they were. That's the other thing. Always over budget. It is much better to have more money than you need planned out versus to get somewhere and go, I didn't realize it was this expensive. Oops. So I always round up and then add more.
You're so right.
I don't like surprises when it comes to money.
No.
I really don't. There are many surprises in life, and there's been times where I've been surprised, and it's like with the bill, especially with like medical bills, that's a different story. But it's like, okay, we're not going there.
The doctor's like, you have to get this X-ray, and you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. You show up, no biggie. And then the bill's like $400.
You're like, did I really need that?
And they're like, nothing is wrong with you. You're fine. Looks great.
You're like, thanks.
Physically hurts. Yeah. What's the most expensive vacation you've ever been on?
Probably Alaska.
Really?
Just because flights. Well, okay. I'm not sure whether Alaska or Hawaii was more expensive.
That was going to be my answer.
I'm not
so
sure.
Worth it. Like, do not listen to us and get deterred. But holy shit, Hawaii. It is really pricey.
Hawaii. Brazil might have also been just because of the air flights of getting there.
True. Like Hawaii, once you're there, and it's not just for tourists and visitors, people who live there.
It's expensive. I remember being really confused. Okay, this was back when Subway did the $5 footlongs. That was a while ago.
Subway plug.
A fun fact, that was my first job that I paid taxes on.
I love that. Now I want an Italian BMT.
But So I was used to the $5 footlongs, and we got to Hawaii and the footlong was like $8. I was like, what? I was so confused. Now footlongs here in the lower 48 are $8.
This is bullshit.
But yeah. So sometimes, again, over budget because Subway might be more expensive where you're going than you're planning on.
So Kristy made a really awesome spreadsheet. You're so good at spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets are fun. I do like spreadsheets. I have a spreadsheet for everything. Literally.
Freaky in the sheets. So she made an awesome one, and the pitch to her was like, okay, I would love to make a video and be able to tell someone, if you make this much a year and you want to go to this location in, let's just say, a year, this is how much you're going to have to put away. So just like break down how you made this. And we can use this very specific example, but I just love this. And the fact that you can plug in any annual income and any like transportation number and location, we should like post this so people can use it. Honestly,
we could. I would need to make it look a little bit prettier. It's functional, but it's not pretty. So we started with your total annual income because that's going to be different for everyone. Because again, we're talking about debt. You don't want to go into debt to go for vacation because when you're at vacation, you want to enjoy it. And sure, even if you go into debt while you're on vacation, you're going to enjoy it during vacation. We want to save you the heartache when you get back from vacation and you're like, oh, now I can't pay my rent, or, oh, I've got this really awful credit card bill and I'm going to pay interest. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. No matter how good the vacation is, not worth going into debt. Sorry, soapbox time again. So we started with the annual income because you can't spend what you don't have. We're going off of that theory. And then we divided that by 12 to get your monthly income because you don't just decide, oh, I want to go somewhere and pay for it all right away.
Say that again.
So we took the annual income and then divided by 12 to get your monthly income because unless you've got a ton of just throwaway money that you can just hop on a private jet and go wherever you want, whenever you want without thinking about it, if you're like the rest of us, you need to plan a little bit and set aside, usually like a certain amount either each paycheck or each month. We broke it down by monthly income because that way, regardless of when you get paid, you can know, okay, each month I need to put aside this much. So we said, okay, if your annual income was like $40,000, then your monthly income is going to be about $3,333.33 repeating. 0.33 repeating, 33 cents. Never mind.
Math girl.
And then it was, okay, so that's what your monthly income is. Okay, so you want to go to Oktoberfest because we made this in October and we're like, ooh, what fun things happen in October? Well, Oktoberfest in Germany.
So good.
So how long do you want to stay there? So we said 5 days is probably, okay, the festival goes on for a lot longer, but we've, figured if you make 40,000, you can probably maybe squeak with like 5 days if you use like the weekends, because then you're not taking as much time off of work. And then we figured out, okay, what is the airfare like? So we did a quick search to see what the average airfare would be for next year. And it was actually pretty inexpensive. I forget which airports we did, but we ended up budgeting around, $1,300 for airfare. Again, that's going to be different based on how much fun money if you wanted to set. And you could break the activities into multiple buckets. You could break it into shopping. You could break it into excursions. We just did a general bucket for activities. And so we came up with a total cost of $3,100. So the question was then, let's see. We did it based on what percentage of your monthly income are you saving? So we did it if I saved this much, percentage wise of my monthly income, this is how long it's going to take me to get there. So we said saving 5%. And how we came up with that number is after doing some research, we came up with that number, assuming that the person going on this trip has some student debt. And if you have student debt, you want to also make sure that you're working to pay that off as well, because that's
Welcome
fun.
to the club.
Yay. So we did 5%. Hey, if you're completely debt free, save 10% a month, or however much you want to save. You can put whatever number you want in that money. So maybe you're like completely broke and you're like, I still want to travel, but I can't really afford. Okay, put 1%. That's totally fine. And at least gives you a goal that you're working toward. And you're like, okay, I'm still doing something. Every little bit helps. Even if you just put aside $10 a month, maybe you can't go to Oktoberfest, but then, hey, you can take a weekend trip, in a year or something like that.
Totally.
So if you save 5% of your monthly income and you make $40,000 a year, your monthly income that you're going to set aside is about $166.67. From that, it's going to take you about a year and a half to save up for Oktoberfest. And if you're like, but Oktoberfest is in a year, okay, maybe change the percentage to 7%.
Right.
Or I don't quite know what the math would be to get you there in a year, but 7 or 8% sounds about right.
I do that depending on the month that I've had. I really do. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put aside, I'll put aside 4% this month because holy shit, I've been spending money like crazy. I've been spending money like I got it. Or some months I feel pretty good and I'm like, okay, 10% of my monthly paycheck. It can vary.
It can. It doesn't have to be very strict. That's the thing is people sometimes completely push out budgeting because they're like, oh, I have to follow this very strict thing and there's no room for life to happen. And life happens. It does. So it can be variable, but again, that's why just plan for extra. And so say, okay, the total cost is going to be around $3,100, even though we were generous in putting more in each of the categories, I would probably not go until I had like $3,500 that I was, because
for that emergency
for an emergency fund of like, what if I get stranded in Germany? I don't speak German. My German is like 9. Just doesn't exist.
That's the only word you need. Just no.
No. I do have a friend in Germany though, although she's actually here in the States at the moment, but
I would love to go.
I know, right?
I'll
wait till she's back in Germany and then we can go stay with her.
Yes. And so we picked the 40,000 total annual income because we were thinking like college kid status. That's what this
it was like
template's for.
Recent grad, okay, I've gotten more than a minimum wage job. I've gotten like, I guess if you want to say, oh, I got a grown-up job, that like has a specific annual income or things like that. And you might be listening to this and going, $40,000? Are you nuts? Like I get paid $10 an hour. So this would not be the trip. We could do a different trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just picked it to show you that like, as long as you're conscientious of wanting this, if this is something you truly want, it's possible.
Because guess what? Say you make $10 an hour. Okay, then figure out what your total annual income is based on how much you work. You can still use this, and maybe it takes you a little bit longer to get to Oktoberfest, but you still get to go. And it's still, it's just because you don't make a ton of money doesn't mean you can't go on vacation. It just means that you have to plan a little bit.
And there are cheaper vacations. You can go to Thailand and spend like $10 to stay in a really nice place a night, but that flight's going to cost you. So just, do your research, figure out what your priorities are, and whether you're saving for a trip or not. And whether you're saving for a trip or not, put aside like 1 to 5 to 10% of your monthly income anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a big fan of we always put aside 10% of our income into savings each month anyway.
Smart.
And it's really helpful. Hypothetically, if you're driving down I-4 and you get stranded with a flat tire and you can't go anywhere and you have to end up getting a new tire and you have an emergency fund for that.
What a mess.
What a mess. Gotta love I-4. For those of you not in Florida, if you ever come to Florida, I'm so sorry whenever you come to I-4. It's terrible.
It's a real son of a bee. But I'm so happy that you came here today to hang out with me.
Thanks for having me.
So fun. And I'll have you on again. And we'll do like a different budget planner for a different whole enchilada of a trip.
We could do one of, this is a vacation that I would love to go on, but I'm never going to be able to afford.
Say it.
That would be fun.
Oh, I thought you had one. I was kidding.
Well, I mean, I would love to go to New Zealand.
Ooh.
I want to go to New Zealand. I want to go to Hobbiton, and I want to walk to the top of a hill and play the Lord of the Rings theme and a bunch of music on a whistle. And that is my dream, is to play music on the top of a hill in New Zealand. And that is, I'm a nerd.
So the next time Kristy and I pod, that's where we'll be recording from.
We'll be recording from New Zealand. Yes. I would love to go.
Today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys. That was another episode of the Travel Nerds Podcast. Later, nerds.
Later, nerds.